Hello, my name is Sam and welcome to another video talking about Tapforms 5 for iOS and Mac. Another one from the forums today from Peter Ripley. This is actually a really old post around finding duplicates. Now, Brendan's initial response back in 2016 is there is no find duplicate records functionality, and that is still true. But we had some folk post slightly more recently here after almost 5-year hiatus. We've got the ask for the same thing. I posted two responses here. One is using a calculation field to do some linking, a method to count some stuff, and then basically iterate through the links. I'm not going to go do that one because I think this one's a little more interesting, which is the follow-up on using email addresses where they're space separated, let's say. And I wanted to actually give this a shot as the primary one here, because this will work for single key values or multiple key values, and I think that's kind of useful. Now, the all use case here is obviously you need to split out the one record we get from Tapforms into two different records, but we'll use a script to do that. We are going to use this MD5 sum script. I'm not sure if it's in our, or this one doesn't have it, so that makes life easy. My forms, let's just check to see. Yeah, we don't have the script manager, so that's okay. We'll just import that as we go. Grab that in a new tab for the moment. But basically what we're going to do is create a source form. We're going to put our email addresses in it. We're going to create a second form for the emails that's going to have the traditional emails. We're going to go back to source form, create our link. We can't create the link until we've created the other form. We're going to set it to many, enable show inverse relationship so that we can get back to it from scripting, and then we're going to set up some scripts from there. So let's get that started, and we'll create a new form. And we don't want this in Tampa Monkey. Let's just put it in uncategorized for the moment. We're going to call this one source form, which is going to be the source of our potential duplicates. We are going to then add to it a field called emails. And then we'll give it a name field as well, just for fun. Why not? Whoops, name. Thinking of a name, and that name is in fact Brendan, and we'll say support at tapforms.com, and I don't know, keymaster at tapforms.com. I actually have no idea if keymaster is it, but it is his title in the forum, so I thought that'd be kind of funny. Okay, we need to create a second one, which we'll call source emails. I'm going to call that one email. And then we're going to go back to source form. We're going to create a new form, new field. It's going to be a link to form field. We're going to link over to our source emails form. We're going to make that a many-to-many relationship because we're going to have many emails pointing to many source records. That's essentially the dedupe exercise that we're going to do. We're going to tick show inverse relationship last. Once upon a time, there was a bug where if you change the type, the link from form field that the show inverse creates wouldn't show up properly. And test at example.com. Let's move that down there. Now we need to jump back to our emails form. Now that we've got that mostly set up, we need to add one more thing in this field, which is a script field. And in this script field, we're gonna call it source count, and all we're gonna have it do is edit the script. Delete that out. We'll make that a little smaller so that it fits. And then all we're going to do is actually just delete that, double click on that, and instead of returning that, we're going to do .length, and we'll hit save. That should always return a value. Tapforms manages that, so that's always, Tapforms is always going to give us an array back, even if that's an empty element, because it's always populated. We're going to delete this record because from here on in, we're going to go back to our scripts. We're going to create a new one for MD5 sub, and inside of that, we're going to put this script that was linked in this earlier post. So we're going to just Control A, Control C, or Command A, Command C, or Apple A if you're really old school. Back in the day when they had the Apple logo on everything, and it was kind of overpowering. And so we've done the MD5 sum, and now we're going to do another one called dedupe. I think that's what we ended up calling it. Let's go have a look. What did I call it here? Extract emails. You know what? That sounds like a good one. Extract emails. So what we're going to do then is we need to create these source email records so that we can create all of the links. So we've created, this is our base data set. This is the form that we're going to use to basically store all of the emails to link back. And then we're going to use a script to populate this automatically. We're going to use a bit of a hack where instead of having Tapforms generate the record ID, we're going to generate it ourselves using the email. And what that allows us to do, because we control the ID for each email, we know which one it is, and then we can very easily find that later, essentially a direct index scan, so that we don't create a duplicate record. We just retrieve the previous one for that email address. MD5 is not a cryptographically secure hash. It does have known collisions. For our use case though, we should be relatively safe. Okie dokie, so let's get started. So the first thing we need to add here at the top is form.run script named MD5 sum. That basically means that we're going to import in the MD5 sum script that we just copied and pasted into a different form script. Again, this is a way of creating libraries within Tapforms, just as a really simple way of doing stuff. We also need to have a couple of different things, which is we need to create, we need the source email address, and we also need the email address. So when I double click on this, it's going to insert var emails ID equals our field ID. When I double click on this, it's going to do var email ID equals this. So what we want to do is make sure that this is a little easier to note, and what we'll say is this is emails, this one's the source form, this is the emails form. We also need to grab the link ID, which is going to be this one, and I'm going to rename that to source emails link ID, just so that we know that this is the link, and this is the field that has the link from our source record into the destination record. Moving along, we have emails form equals document.get form named email source emails. In this case, we did rename that slightly, and what this does is gets from Tapforms the internal object for the form called source emails, because what we're going to do again is add to that. Now let's just hit run on that. Make sure that we don't get any errors. We return hello world. Kalukaleo fracture state. We're on the right track. Okay, so for let current record of form.getRecords. Now what this is doing is retrieving all of the records in the current form, and the current form in this case is our source record. So if we just hit save, we can see that this is the source form at the moment, so that's our current form. So we're going to get all of the records in this form, and what we're going to do is then iterate over them. Now we need to do let emails, because what we're going to do here is from this current record we are going to get the field value of the source emails ID field, and then we're going to split it into a space separated string. So if we have a look at the sample one that I did here, you'll see that there's a space there. So what we're going to do is split that on space. If you have commas, you can make that a comma. I believe this supports a regular expression, so you can actually do that to expand your options. We're going to wrap this in a try catch, because sometimes you're going to come to a record where this field isn't set, and then when you try to do a split on that, potentially you're going to get an error back because it'll say this is not a valid object, and we don't want to abort the script. Normally the script would abort. In this case, actually all we want to do is log error processing record plus the E. We're going to log the current record dot get URL. We're going to log the URL, and that'll allow us to click on that if we see that error message and jump to the record when we're not in the editor. And we're going to continue this loop, and we're going to skip back up to where the 4 is. So let's run this, make sure that again we haven't hit any errors. Since we deleted the hello world bit that was there, we don't get an output, but we don't get an error either. So we're on track here. What we can do is console.log emails. Let's just see what that comes back with. There we go. We can see we have one record set and then a second record set. We can see internally what's happened is the JavaScript scripting engine has actually made that essentially a comma separated array when it logs it back out. Even though originally it was space separated, we can see that we've got those multiple values there, now separated by a comma. So what we're going to do then is iterate over the emails. So for each of the emails essentially, we're going to process them. So we can just, again, we're going to debug this. We're going to hit save. These are each of our email addresses. Sweet. And then what we need to do here is go to the emails form and get a record with an ID of our record hash. And we need to set our record hash. And that's going to be REC, because REC is the prefix of all records in tap forms. And then we want to get the MD5 hash of the email address. This is going to take the email address field with like the @ signs and whatever else and turn it into an MD5 hash. The real reason for doing this is so that it normalizes the characters, so that there isn't anything funky there. They get turned into a reasonably standard set of characters that is compatible with creating IDs for tap forms. So we can do that. That'll get us our hash. We're going to go to the emails form. That's that. This is that source emails form, and we're going to look for a record with this same ID based on the email address. If that doesn't exist, so the exclamation mark here means not. In JavaScript, it has a concept of values that are truthy, so evaluate to true, and values that are falsy, that evaluate to false. If the record doesn't exist, we get a null value or a falsy value. So what we want to do is look for not false, so a double negative, which means true. And then so if we have a case where we didn't get a record, what we're going to do is create a new record in emails form, a new record with ID, and that ID is going to be the record hash. So if the record doesn't exist, so we go to try and retrieve it, if it doesn't exist, we're going to create a new one, and then in that record we need to do set field value to set the value of the email's email ID to be the email address. So again, here we're up to this point in our thread. So what this is going to do is create a new record for us if it doesn't exist, and then it's going to set the value for the email field to be the email. We do at this point need to start saving things, so let's put it in a document.save all changes, and we do have one other, spell document correctly, that would help, wouldn't it? One other thing on the left here, you'll note, we do current record dot add record to field, and what we're going to do is add this new candidate record to the email source emails link ID, and what that does internally is it creates the link from this new record we created from this current record. So we're looking at the original name and emails form, and then we're going to link that record to the source emails. We'll hit save on that, and we'll hit run. We got an error here, could not find variable emails form. Oh, emails form, not forms. Okay, we have our values printed out and no other errors, so let's just hit save on that. And we can see now, once we've done that, source emails is now populated. We've got 2 emails listed here. We've got tester@example.com, and we can create a not Brendan, and we'll do support@tapforms.com. Let's rerun our extract emails script. That's going to reprocess all of our records so that we can see their value. And then when we have a look here, there's a support@tapforms.com. When we go look at that, we can see there's actually 2 records linked. And that brings us to our last bit, which is we need to create a saved search. So we're going to jump over here, and we can see here are each of the email addresses. We're just going to hit refresh on that. And we can see Keymaster is linked to Brendan. Oh, that's interesting. It linked it twice. Oh, because it's the same record. Interesting quirk. Support is linked once. That's correct. And then we have our tester one. We're going to create a saved search at this point for where the source count is greater than 1. We'll hit save on that. And we can see we've got this one here, which I think is a bit of a bug. And then we've got this one where we've got not Brendan and Brendan with a source count of 2. Though this one's a little interesting. Why did that get... Let's hit unlink. I deleted both. Okay. Support@tapforms, Keymaster. Run. We have a bug. We're duplicating these. So the support@tapforms is okay, but Keymaster@tapforms is creating multiple records. Interesting. Okay, so let's go debug this. So first thing we're going to do is we log the email. we're going to also log the record hash, and we're going to make sure that's all the same. Linked. So that's the same. I wonder if we've just uncovered a bug in add record to field where it's adding a duplicate when it shouldn't. Interesting. Because yeah, that's duplicating that when it really shouldn't. Yeah, if I unlink that, there's only one entry there. And everything else behaves properly. Test2 at example.com. Let's run extract that. Yep, it does it here. Okay, so I think I know why this is doing this. It's because we need to save this when it's created as well, and then here as well. Maybe let's give this a shot. Otherwise, we have a bug report for Brendan. Lucky fella. So let's hit extract again. Yeah, it's adding duplicates there. That's annoying. Whoop. Unlink. But if I unlink it, it deletes all of the duplicate records for me. And then if I rerun it, it's okay. Curious and curious are. And it's only creating the one record on the other side. It's just duplicating the link. Well, on that bombshell, hopefully you've got a better idea of how we can use this to figure out some duplicates. It looks like we found a bug in tap forms. Good news is we've got the exact reproduce case here, and that makes it really easy to fix. But if this video was useful for you, please give me a like. Leave a comment on what you liked. If you didn't like it, that's okay. Hit that dislike button, and also leave a comment on what you didn't like so that we can make this better for next time. We're going to leave a link back to the post on the forum, which also has a copy of the earlier version of this email dedupe example, so that you can download it without having to enter it all from scratch. Obviously the IDs are slightly different, but the process was more or less the same. Thanks for viewing. If you want to see more of these, click the subscribe button, click the bell if you want to get notifications, and on that bombshell, happy tap formsing.